I have titled this lesson, The Invisible Poor. The Matthew Gospel comes directly from the prophet's calling. No other writer, no other prophet, no other gospel writer makes the Lord's ministry so concrete, so available to be understood with fewer than 1,000 words. Maybe Matthew and Isaiah write concretely, with examples of what happens to each person or group as a result of their charitable Christian acts, or as a result of their being totally closed off from all persons, not welcoming or helpful to others, but actively unhelpful. To deny a drink of water in a desert is grossly unhelpful, and could cause the lesser one to be in a very rough position as a result of this uncharitable, inhuman, and unchristian refusal. We will always have the grossly poor, those that are transient, living as they choose on the outside of the basic society, but comfortable and happy within their own society. Those who live in these conditions will often choose to live like this, rather than lose their freedom. What one calls freedom, another may refer to as a lack of housing. The definition is within the viewer's eyes and in the perspective of the life and history of each person. Perspective. It causes so many issues. Think in your mind of poor person. How do you perceive them? How do you define them? Are they able to own anything? Or are poor people, that is, living below the federal poverty line, so poor that they can't own a home unless they got it through the family, like an inheritance, etc.? A car will be a beater and worthless, and they will have little or no education, and be jumping in and out of society, and most are mentally ill. Does that fit with your definition and mental picture of a poor person? Thank you for throwing out every single incorrect bias and stereotype of a poor person in America, as well as making sure you gave justification for why they were poor. Because people are never just poor. Born poor, live poor, die poor. Right? 42% of the poor have been within 5% of that socioeconomic status their entire life. So who are the lesser people that Christ speaks of in the United States, 2022 through 2026? Hi. I am a classic poor person, except for my education. The majority of all poor are invisible, for you aren't looking for us, your neighbor. We own homes by the skin of our teeth. Over 75 to 90% of our income goes to paying that precious mortgage. We seek funding from federal and state resources for all other necessities of life. Food. Over 78% of all enrollees nationally on SNAP, which is what used to be called food stamps, are the retired or disabled adult. Cross research finds they are most often simultaneously on SNAP and Medicare than on any other programs. The stereotype of the young single mother with baby being on this welfare program is so outdated. You have to be thinking of the post-World War II era. Single mothers with children have 4 other better programs, and single parents with families may only be on SNAP for up to 6 months, because then they must find work or schooling. So the next Republican to go on a rant about the people on food support, that is the federally required indigent people, otherwise known as the adult disabled population. We may have zero savings legally, and for every $1 earned, $2.25 is removed from food aid and all Social Security benefits, for which I paid for over 39 years. So don't say that I'm taking benefits that I did not pay for. I paid for them. When you think of the lesser people, I am one. And I still cry every time I say or write that. I still feel such shame for this. But that is society, placing their burdens and horrific values of pre-Victorian workhouse years upon me. I screamed in agony for 22 minutes, as my spine twisted and cramped in the night, in a manner never before done. But imagine if I was working, what was happening to my body. It would happen to me at work, in front of people. If this causes me shame when I'm alone, imagine what it would do if it happened to me in a cube. Now, I've been approved for aids to help clean my house and shovel snow and mow lawn. The last company that helped to mow lawn cheated out of $1,256, claiming work that was not done. I've only been waiting for 2 years for help to clean my house. I slipped and fell halfway down the stairs last week. Still don't have that damn handrail installed for which I prepaid for in 2019. That was the worst fall so far, due to how slick the carpet gets with dust and hair. I've cleaned it 3 times by hand, but can't use the vacuum unless I wish to go to hospital again. So I wait for some to accept a job earning more than I earned until I received a master's degree. But 30 years later, you get more than that just to vacuum. And they now make these people kings, but the goats won't work. The goats don't give a rat's lord's furry behind about the poor, and they don't apply for these jobs. 2+ years this job has sat there, and no one has come. If it wasn't for the beautiful Muslim family next door, my front walk would never be shoveled. This year, it's not the boys in their late 20s that are shoveling. It is the 16-year-old daughter and her 60-year-old mother of 12 who have shoveled for me, refusing all remuneration, refusing all gifts, but stating they count it as their weekly act of charity. No Christian churches offer any free help at all. And these beautiful people shame us Christians with their charity. These women, Muslims, shovel my walk. And Christian men refuse to do any damn thing unless they are paid a mighty amount. Christian men, you make me sick. For it is you that I prepaid 3 years ago for this railing. And still I fall down the stairs. If it was not for my knowledge of physics, that feet first slide would have converted to a headlong fall. So you should see the markings on my legs and my back and the cut hands for grabbing the filigree work on the very stupid outdoor railing that the previous owner put in upstairs. but it saved my life when no one else would. Think on that, all of you. And the next time you see a Muslim woman or a Muslim man, greet them with shalom, which means peace, and thank them on behalf of their sister in the United States for their acts of charity around the world and every single damn day. For in all three of the Abrahamic religions is Leviticus. The Jewish Torah has that same reading in Leviticus as we had first, because Leviticus is the 5th book of the Torah. The Quran has that same reading on page 172 in the original book. I don't know what it is in the English translation. Probably about 290 or right around 300. But all of them say, love your neighbor as yourself. But ironically, sadly, horribly, only the Muslims can do it. No Christian can.